Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for another Breakfast with Blaha, and today I'm having a steak and guacamole. A little bit of a change from doing the Greek yogurt every day at this point. All right, let's talk a little bit about squat accessories. And I want to simplify this and make this as simple as possible because a lot of times when we start talking about accessory work, people get confused. We talk weak point training. And people, they don't get it. It gets too nuanced. And for advanced lifters, it is nuanced. In other words, if you squat more than, say, 450, more than 500, oh yeah, accessory work and weak point training can get very nuanced. But for a lot of you guys out there who aren't at that point, you're not quite there yet. You're a late novice, you're an intermediate. You squat 315. Squat 350. It doesn't need to be complicated. Here's what it's going to come down to. For your squatting, what are you looking at? You're either looking at, are the primary movers a weak link or are stabilizers a weak link? That's it. That's all you need to think about. All right, and when I say stabilizers, I don't mean every stabilizer in the body. I just mean the important ones. All right, so let's define these muscles. Primary movers on a squat: glutes, adductors, quads. And I don't put a lot of emphasis on quads, and it's not that I don't train a lot of quads, not that I don't have big quads, it's that it would give people the false idea that they should try to isolate their quads. And you guys know I hate that word. There is no such thing as an isolation exercise. Complete ignorance of all science. And it would be undesirable to even try to isolate a muscle if you could. And in this case, this is a perfect example. All right, I'm getting sidetracked here. But there is no scenario in which your quads are a weak link on the squat or your adductors are also not a weak link. That is just not going to happen. So what we mean is, are your legs a weak link? It means quads and adductors both. And we could argue based upon the scientific literature that the adductors are always more important than the quads. So the moment we start thinking quads instead of just legs, we've got a problem. But it is glutes, adductors, quads. It's primary movers. That is what lifts the weight. That is the muscles that are responsible for the weight moving. Then we have the really important stabilizers. What are those? Hamstrings, right? The lower back, meaning spinal erectors and low back, and then upper back. What do we mean upper back? Thoracic erectors, traps, okay? Pretty simple. These are the muscles that matter, all right? And low back, abdominals, all that could fall into that category too. All right, how do we tell which ones are weak? If it's weak hamstrings, you can't sit back. Very simple. You squat directly between your heels. You do not have the ability to sit back or open up your hips. Your hamstrings are weak. Also, the inability to open up the hips can be adductors. But that's separate. It's that combination of you can't open the hips. We can't sit back. You just squat straight down. You have weak-ass, shitty-ass hamstrings, period. And I mean really weak hamstrings if you can't sit back. Especially with weights that aren't even a 1 rep max. You can't do that with 80% of your max, you got a problem. You got a big problem. Fix your hamstrings. What are we looking at for other stabilizers? If you cave right out of the hole, okay? When people say a good morning squat, when good coaches say that, they are not talking about near the top, where it would be like a true good morning. They mean when you go into the bottom, you push your hips back, you go to come up, your low back dips immediately. The first few inches out of the bottom. And then that's where you miss that way. You don't miss because you go straight down, you miss because you go forward. It's your low back. Fix it. Your chest can't stay up. Your chest rolls forward at any point, particularly when you take a wider grip. It's your upper back. Work on your T-spine, work on your traps. No, it doesn't mean shrugs. That means rows. Lots of rows. Maybe safety bar squats. All right, any other myths? For people who want to keep it simple, don't worry about which of the three it is. You need to bring up all three. Okay? You need to bring up the primary movers. All right, this is going to get simple. What are our simplest exercises to fix all this? I mean, for most of you out there, and some novices are going to be like, well, it can't be that simple. Some intermediates are going to be, it can't be that simple. I could technically fix all these problems with nothing but squat movements, good mornings, and deadlifts. I mean, let's come over to someone who's not even beyond a late novice phase yet. I mean, really fix it with deadlifts and squats. I love to prescribe good mornings. Are they necessary? Here's why. What is being used in all these movements? On a squat, you're using primary movers on your squat. You're not building your stabilizers as much. On a deadlift, are we working the hamstrings, low back, and upper back more? Are we working them more than on a back squat? You bet. So it becomes an accessory. Good mornings may not get the upper back quite as much depending on the bar. Do extra rows though. So I mean, let's look at that. If you're seeing some of the stabilizers become a problem, a little more deadlifting volume, if you can handle it. If you can't, good mornings and rows. I don't care what type of rows, any rows. I don't care what type of good morning at this point. We're not super advanced yet, right? If your primary movers are failing, you need to do more squatting. Okay, if you're just struggling to lift the weight, when you miss the weight, it just goes straight down. Right? It goes straight down. Your chest doesn't cave first, your low back doesn't cave. You can get your butt back, but you miss. You're just not strong enough. Build up your primary movers. You can do that with squatting itself. However, if low back fatigue and everything are a problem, axial loading, everything is a problem, what do we have? What are our other choices? Leg press, belt squat. Barring either one of those specialty pieces of equipment, single leg exercises. I don't care if they're lunges, I don't care if they're split squats, I don't care if they're with a barbell, a safety bar, dumbbells. By the way, dumbbells get good deadlift carryover because of the grip. Single leg exercises, why? What do we work? All of those exercises we just listed work glutes, quads, adductors, and they're easy to recover from. That's simple, guys. That's simple. This is how you build a decently big squat. It's going to get you a super strong squat as it gets more nuanced at a certain point. But if you're just trying to get to a 405, a 450, it's everything you need to know. You just got to figure out how much volume to do of each one and how often you need to rotate them due to inflammation. All right, that's it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.